Hi there. I'm the director for Common Knowledge Trust, and I had the privilege in the early 1970s to work with hundreds of ordinary fathers and mothers, just like yourself, and we developed what is now known as the Birthing Better online birthing classes. All of the skills. And what we want to do is give you a free course, access to some of the modules in the course. Now, everybody sort of says when they see this, my God, there are a lot of skills. Well, you're right, because fathers and mothers really nitpicked their baby's birth, how they prepared for it, how they did the activity of birthing their baby. And so there are a lot of skills. Some people want to understand, well, how do you birth at home, or how do you birth in the hospital, or what happens if you transfer from a birth center or home to the hospital. Others want to understand how you use skills in all births, from non-laboring cesareans to labor and delivery, and labor and deliveries that might be home alone, or when you have wires coming out of every single one of your holes. People want to understand how to work together and how they could explain to their birth professionals that they were learning skills, particularly during this time when birth plans are used for making choices. And what we realized in the 70s when we developed these skills and we lacked choices was that skills were absolutely essential. And when choices became available, there was a tendency for us to go, we'll just make choices and birth plans. And then mothers and fathers realized they still had to do the activity of birthing their baby. That most of us don't have a birth that's to plan. There's no way to know what our birth is going to be like. Many of us lacked choices, or we didn't give a damn, and we just followed the doctor's orders. Others of us made extensive birth plans, and then they changed. And so we realized that skills were actually foundation for us, and that's why there are a lot of them. And what we realized was we had to work together, that fathers and mothers really wanted to work together. And if it wasn't the father, it was someone else. And if we had to do the birth on ourselves, like I did with my last child, then we had to do it on our own. And in fact, women are birthing their babies on their own, even if there are 1,000 people in the room, um, because we're the only one pregnant. We're doing pregnancy alone. We're doing birth alone as well. We don't do parenting alone usually. There are usually other people who will help us. And what we realized after we developed extensive skills to cope with the natural occurring pain of labor, because when these skills started, there was a 4.5% cesarean rate. So regardless of our risks, or whether we loved or hated birth, or whether we had a good outcome or a bad outcome, whether we labored for hours or days, whether we loved it or suffered, that was our only option. There was only a 4.5% cesarean rate, because cesareans back then were really major abdominal surgery done to save a woman's life. So birth was natural and normal with all of its risks and hiccups and warts, and we did it. So we focused first on the skills to cope better and to manage better, to feel in control and to work together. Then when we realized that no matter how well we worked together and how well we coped, many of us still had long labors, and many of us still had risks that might become problems. And so fathers were absolutely instrumental in developing the body skills. And then we knew we all breathed, and we knew that we needed to communicate, and we were trying to figure out the best form of touch, because too many of us were saying to our loving partners, "Don't touch me," and they were getting confused, understandably so. And then we really needed to continue to stress that fathers were the best birth coach. When I gave birth in the 1970s, that was the expectation. It was called coaching, father's coach. They were allowed to come in. We wanted them to come in. We wanted them to help us. We wanted to share skills. And when the choice trend came in the 1980s, fathers were reduced from being a coach to just being a support. And skills were no longer taught. The classes of childbirth preparation were all information-based from the 1980s onwards. Instead of having skills and choices go together, skills were replaced with choices, and we see the devastation of what this has been for the past 40 plus years. So our trust has always advocated, because we represent all these families, that it's normal and natural to self-learn birth and birth coaching skills when you're pregnant. Use those skills throughout the activity of birthing your baby, because that makes sense. We got pregnant to have a baby, not a type of birth. And you also learn more about birth pain. We knew that we had to cope if we labored. And many of us who have non-laboring cesareans still experience pain. So having good skills to cope with pain really helps us. The other thing we want to stress in giving you one of the modules is that birth is not a noun. I've been amazed over the 50 years I've been involved in birth that it is a noun, the birth. That doesn't tell us much. And then when it becomes sort of like this thing called giving birth, it's amazing what a weak verb giving is. Even if we say doing the labor, the only strong word in that is labor, hard work. And so what we want to explain in that module is that it's hard work, that this is a big thing. It's a one-off. It's infrequent. The memories last a lifetime. Can't replay it. And we birthed better when we birthed using skills. We were empowered by our own capacity. And then we're going to also give you the original Pink Kit book, because when we first made the Pink Kit, which has now become Birthing Better, it was a VHS, a cassette, and a book, and now it's online learning. However, all of the videos in that original VHS, which are still in the online course, and by the way, when you look and say, oh my God, the fashion's so out of date, yep, it is, 1995. However, our bodies have not changed. And so you need to understand that fashion changes very rapidly. Our bodies have endured for ages. So all the skills you're going to learn are about your body, not about fashion. And we want you to understand how we color-coded the videos to the book, and also the illustrations to one of the modules that you're not going to get, but is in other courses, which is about preparing your birth canal. So to recap this, we're giving you a taste of the different modules. We have different courses that are targeted to different situations, because that's what we're like. Some of us were having a home birth. Some of us were having a hospital birth or a birth center. Some were laboring. Some were having non-laboring cesareans. Some had breech babies. Some had twins. Some had stuck babies. Some had quick births. Some had birth professionals we liked. Some had birth professionals we didn't like. All sorts of things. Some of us had back labor, hip labor, push for hours, or babies didn't engage, or we didn't cope. So it goes on and on and on. And so Birthing Better families develop skills for everything. We have 12 courses, and you can pick and choose what is your favorite. We really encourage you to start somewhere around 24 weeks and just take it leisurely. Always learn the skill you want to learn as a pregnant woman, and always learn the skill you want to learn as an expectant father, other person, and then teach each other. Don't learn the same thing at the same time, except for the body skills and the internal work, which you have to do together. So we want you to have a fair dinkum experience with some of these resources, and hope that you will care enough about your birth and your baby's birth to become skilled. Do we care whether you use Birthing Better compared to other skills-based methods? Nope. You can use Birthing Better with and alongside all other skills-based methods, or just information that you gather, or choices that you're making, or you can choose another skills-based method. Our trust, common knowledge, advocates that it's normal and natural that when you're pregnant you become skilled. And so if you don't choose Birthing Better, totally up to you. However, we do know that Birthing Better is incredibly unique, particularly the body skills. You really want to get to know your body, because what men were really clear about, and why they were so instrumental in developing the body skills so that we could reduce or prevent risks from becoming problems, and reduce and prevent the chances that we'd have a long first or second stage, is that men really got it. There's a big object in our container, our body, and we have to open up to let that object come down through and out. And you need to know how. It's not something that we just know. Okay? Birth will happen one way or another. It is a natural and normal life event, but normal means anything that might happen could happen. Normal and natural birth does not mean easy, does not mean good outcome, does not mean that you're going to cope, doesn't mean any of those things. It just means anything that might happen could happen. So, trusting birth, you can trust that because you're pregnant, you are going to give birth, and you really should become skilled. Because what do we know about ourselves as human beings? We thrive on being skilled, and we feel really disconnected when we get put into a challenging situation where we feel incompetent and unskilled. And birth is a challenging, life transforming situation and activity you have to do. So take your time, become skilled. If you're 42 weeks pregnant today and you say, oh, it's too late, no, it's not. Any skill is better than none, and you are more highly motivated. So jump on board, go through these resources, and we hope you'll then pick and choose one of the Birthing Better online birthing classes. So see you later. I'm in all the videos.